Welcome back to another torch review. I have a headlamp in for testing today. It's the Nitecore HC33. Their brand new model has just come out, and this was sent in via Nitecore for a review. Everything that's included in this pack I've laid out, and I believe you can get it without the battery as well. I got one included. Quick scan over the box. They're quoting around about 1800 lumens. This also has a bit of distance. It's not far shy of the 200 meter mark, so compared to some of the other head torches I've looked at, we're expecting this to have a bit more range. Extras include the stainless steel clip. You get a silicone cover, a spare one for the switch, and 2 spare O-rings. And this is a special high drain cell that's supplied 8 amp. I'll probably do a separate review on that, but the quoted capacity is quite close to that. And you also get your warranty card and user manual. I'll show you the user manual later on. Now, looking at the body, I've put the size on the screen for you. It's pretty compact, but notice how deep the fins are on the top of the head. And that's to increase the surface area, act as a heat sink. Pretty happy with the overall build quality on this. Got a bit of knurling in the middle section as well. And a quick look at the LED. We have a smooth reflector on this, a CREE XHP35 HD. So hence we're going to expect to get a bit more range. Another look at those fins as well. The small torches like this will heat up, but they're designed to sort of dissipate the heat as much as possible. Now we unscrew the base cap. Threads are anodized on this and square cut, but they're a bit fine, a bit like the Concept one, but not a major problem. You can also unscrew the head section as well. You'll notice that they're quite thin aluminium, but it's the Type 3 type, so it's pretty hard. You shouldn't have any issues. They're obviously trying to keep the weight down as much as possible with this. We'll just screw it back up again. You'll notice you get the voltage readout, so it will flash with the first voltage, 3 or 4 flashes, and then the number of flashes after that indicates the second digit. That's a really useful feature, and I actually quite like that myself. Not many torches have had that, just the Nitecore ones I've looked at. Very handy. You can also use flat top cells if you want, but you will probably need to use a magnetic spacer on some of them. Otherwise the torch could cut out, but the LG one that I put in was fine on this, but cells can vary slightly on that. Here's the cell with the magnetic spacer added to it. Pretty cost effective way to convert a flat top cell to a button top. Now single press on, long press off, and then just press again to cycle through the power settings. It has a mode memory for all the power levels except the strobe modes. The button's fairly difficult to push as well. You need to put a bit of pressure on it. Longer press for about half a second takes you into the ultra low mode. And if you press and hold for about 2 seconds, it takes you to turbo. The torch has to be off to do that though, to get into the turbo mode. There's no direct access to turbo when it's on. Now into the strobe modes. Again, you need to be off, double press and then single press to cycle through the 3 strobe modes. Nice to see that they've included the beacon as well. A lot of these head torches just have the SOS, but you have all 3, the normal flashing strobe, SOS and the beacon too. So that's a nice touch on that. Back onto the switch, I find it pretty well covered. In other words, you're not going to have any problems, accidental activation, but you can always just unscrew the tail cap slightly to give yourself a mechanical lockout as such. So onto the supplied head strap. This is a silicone section at the front, and you have adjusters all the way around. They've got this sort of safari type Nitecore effect on it. Doesn't appear to be anti-reflective, but I mean it's going to show up anywhere with the brighter colours. You can adjust the centre headband as well. There's pretty good size on this, perhaps better than most headbands that I've looked at for adjustment, so I can't see any problems if you're going to use it with a hard hat, or if you're wearing a woolly hat or something like that. It will fit quite a lot of sizes. Just turning it around now to see the back. If you ever need to take this part off, what you can do is just go around to the sides and you'll see that you have cut out sections in the adjuster, so you can unloop it and actually take that silicone mount off. Initially I wondered whether it would be strong enough, but it seems to be both flexible enough and it stays in place quite well once you've got into the grooves. That also fits the clip, the grooves there at the top and bottom, and it doesn't rotate around too easily. It seems to hold in place quite well. I think they're just trying to keep the weight and size of everything down as much as possible. It's quite a different design from the Olight H2R, which I looked at, which had that quite a nice quick release, but still this is quite a good option if you just want something as compact as possible. Just give you a shot now showing you the top section. What I tend to do is sometimes if I'm using these, instead of just taking them out as a torch, you can just hold the whole thing together like that, and that works pretty well. And a quick shot showing you the whole of the head strap and torch. Now I'm going to attach the clip. You have two choices with this, either at the bottom part or at the top. Generally I go with the top, but it's nice that you do actually have that option. Clips in place nice and firmly, stainless steel clip, quite short but good retention on that. I've seen longer clips, but I think for pocket use or a shirt pocket or a trouser pocket or even a jacket, it's good enough to do the job. You don't get a wrist strap with this, but there is a groove there in the top part, so you could attach it to that if you wanted to. Don't get one included though, unfortunately. Now next to the Olight H2R, did a review on this one. I quite like that one. There's definite differences between these two. You have much more aggressive grooves on the Nitecore. It's also a bit smaller on the Nitecore, but you have that magnetic charging on the Olight. So that's something you don't have with the Nitecore, so you're going to have to get yourself a charger if you don't already have one. Completely different reflectors. The Nitecore is smooth versus the lenses on the front of the Olight. So it gives quite a floody beam on the Olight. It really depends on what you're looking for. Now I'll just cover the user manual quickly so you can go through there and have a look. You'll see from the Ultralow to a low there is a bit of a jump, and this covers the battery voltage testing. It also works with the CR123A cells. It will also test the voltage on those, and you can use them. Generally wouldn't use them unless it was an emergency though. Right, now onto the magnetic base. Very strong on this, no complaints at all. Even on cylindrical objects it gripped very nicely. And if you don't want the magnet in there, you can just take the spring out the bottom and take the magnet out. Personally, I just leave it in. Quick test with the torch, battery and the strap. And imperial if you want that, 5.2 ounces. So it's kind of on the lighter side. For most of the weight comes from the 18650 battery. So you know you're going to get more weight than a smaller cell, but much longer run times. I'm doing some photographs now outside with the head torch on, so you can just get an idea of what it looks like. Good fit and comfort on this. I particularly like the fact you can adjust the center portion around depending on what you're attaching it to, and there's no problems at all with water resistance. Left it in there for about 10 minutes. Now outside, going through the power levels, you'll see that the Nitecore, there is a very slight dark spot in the middle. It's only very slight. It didn't really bother me, but it's worth mentioning. There's also a slight tint shift going from the very central area into the outer part. It's perhaps a bit more visible on camera than it is in person. The camera tends to pick it up a bit more than the eyes do yourself when you're actually looking at it. And then we compare it to the Olight H2R, which has a much very floody beam pattern on this, which covers a wider area. With the Nitecore, you've got that concentration a bit more in the middle, which will give you that extra range. I'm going to do some more beam shots now. You can have a look through, and at the end we'll come back with a few thoughts and a conclusion. just to give you a few thoughts using the Nitecore. I've been using it for about a week solid now. Overall, I quite like it. There are a few areas which I perhaps would have changed. I mentioned about the slight tint shift. That's something which may or may not bother you. It doesn't really bother me in terms of using it day to day. I didn't really find it a problem, but it's worth mentioning. And there's quite a lot to like with the strobe mode. You've got the battery voltage indicator as well. The overall build quality is very good, and the power output's very good as well. It's perhaps a touch under the 1800 lumens, but it does have a good mixed beam pattern, so it gives you a bit more range if you didn't want a head torch which is on the floody side, which the Olight is, and it could work for you for specific types of job that you're doing, whereas the floody type ones might not be as suitable for you. So overall I think it's quite good. Definitely a couple of points that I would improve, but it's certainly worth considering if you're looking for a head torch. Thanks for watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch up with you in my next video review very soon.